All right, so first thing you're gonna notice once I get everything up for me is there's this big old thing in the center. You've probably never seen it before. If you've used VRoid Studio, you're probably like, what is going on? Especially, like, I think Hayasa's probably gonna be like, what is this? And maybe so will Private. I work on VRoid Studio version 1.26, and that is because it's the only way to get your hands on the VRoid XY plugin, which, if you're working with VRoid in any advanced capacity, highly, highly recommend. It's very nice. It lets you do a couple of very important things. And in this case, what I've already got ready to go is I've got a reference. I was going to do Kasane Tete today. It's good practice on complex hair. And so you can load in a reference this way. You can also do link texture, which we'll get into in a sec. But the shorthand of link texture is if you're working on a texture for a model, you can live edit your textures. So this is super duper helpful. You can upload it into Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop, and then you can just go from there. It's a little clunky the first couple times you do it, but once you get the hang of it, it's really nice and makes such a big difference. So like, for example, let me pull it up. This one, for example, I have a couple models, let's see here. So these are Clip Studio Paint brushes and image materials that I edited so I could use them as sweaters. And I just pulled them in from Clip Studio Paint and was good to go. I did edit them for like structure, and this is not how they originally look, but the images of like the cupcakes and stuff, I didn't draw them. I could draw them, but again, I don't have a tablet or any way to do complex drawing, so it wasn't gonna happen. But it is a nice way to, like, this is the best I can draw. like the geology rocks, I drew that, you know. But I can't draw very well on my computer right now. So it really does help if you are serious at all with VRoid Studio, but I wouldn't necessarily start here. Like, if you're already feeling intimidating, yeah, if VRoid Studio is already looking like too much, do not start with just installing XY. Install it if you have a specific plan in mind or a reference you're working with, or you'll be working in VRoid Studio with more complex textures. I live in it. That's how I put it. I do actually have 2 copies of VRoid Studio, so the current version is 2.x, and so I switch between the two because I like working in 2.x for finishing the model, but for doing the edits and initial work, I do it in 1.26. There you go. Secret tools right there. And so this is what I call the VRoid you don't know what you're doing face. This is Tess-chan. She has nothing done. The only thing I've done to her was before I uploaded her for here, I did censor her bikini for the sake of Twitch, but this is how you see her when it comes out. You can see my reference pile being in the background. But yeah, actually for now, I think I would just not do the reference for right now. So let me hide the guide. But yeah, I love VRoid Studio XY. The plugin is so good. It's so nice. Makes life so much easier. Like, I should probably pull a photo of when I was working on Roz's model. Roz's model was really throwing me because I had trouble getting the reference close enough. And it was like night and day when I got VRoid XY going and could actually really see the model. Because like one thing you can do is you can put the image in front of the model and get basically 1-to-1 pretty much. It's really great. So alright. The first thing I recommend if you're terrified of VRoid Studio is just click something else, anything else, because having a different face than what I call like the VRoid default really, really helps your brain. I'm speaking from knowledge here. Like, this is what, if I was talking about like, what if you're afraid of VRoid Studio, here's what happens. Here's what people do. And I'm not mocking anybody, I'm mocking myself. So really, I'm really mocking me. When you're scared, you get this hairstyle, you go for some kind of complete overall hair. I feel like, you get something, you turn it a color, and then you get whatever baseline. This is a very common thing that happens when people are scared of VRoid Studio. This is not being shameful, this is just what people do because it's scary. This is really scary. Yeah, the hair editor scared me, so I sympathize. I do too. Like, this is basically, like, I can show you one of my, like, later models from just a sec, like, when I started getting less afraid. Like, yeah, here's when I got a bit less afraid. Like, I understand. I am you. I've been through the ringer of VRoid Studio. It's okay. It's all good. Hi, Dryad. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, old model. I really wanted to have an... Oh, okay, you can tell. But okay, let me go back. I tried so hard, and I decided it was just too much. But I love the idea. I love the idea of a little bit of hair going pop. All right. So this is what people start with. This is reasonable. VRoid is scary. Old Monday, thank you. So we get the basic simple outfit back on, just so we can... I find when you're doing basic hair editing that actually, like, having just a blank t-shirt is really good for just seeing stuff and worry about the outfit as you go. So let's go back. I'm going to remove the hair because I find, if you're not sure what you want, distracting. So first things first, I would recommend anyone who is learning VRoid Studio have references. This is me just playing around, but if I was doing a serious thing, like, that's why I have the reference in the background. But we're just going to go through, like, getting over your fear of VRoid Studio right now. So what you want to do, my recommendation, is pick any face. These are all pre-made faces, and anything you pick here that is not this face, as long as you avoid this face, you will look like you did stuff in VRoid Studio. I don't think it's a bad face, in the right applications, mind you, but people associate it as, like, I don't know what I'm doing, because it looks there's no real expression going on. And so whatever you can do, even if it's just this, like, let me show you some stuff I've done with this particular model face. So let's go to eye sets, because I found a while ago that I really like these eyeballs. I think they're very good for, like, magical girl eyes. And so what I did was but I really don't like the sheer amount of stuff going on. I find it very distracting. So I made, where are they? There we are. My very simple, I just edited out the bottom, simple highlights. They are a bit busy. Yeah, like, they're a vibe, but they're not a vibe that I have fun with. And see how this is already a lot calmer? All I did, nothing fancy, was I removed the top part or the bottom part of the highlight so you could see the star highlight better. It's the same, just, it's straight out of VRoid Studio. Nothing fancy here. So, voila, already slightly better. Yes, we're going for sky, not supernova, exactly, you know. But, like, you see how much already this looks like more of a character? Like, even though I've done basically nothing. And that's the beauty of VRoid Studio. Again, as long as you are willing to do stuff, it'll look better. So, alright, let's at least change her eye color. I'm going with Kasani title later, so let's go like a reddish brown, just, it's nice. There's nothing wrong with doing unnatural eye colors. Myself is a good example, but it'll depend on what you're doing, and right now I just want some simple, nothing too exciting eyeballs. But now we have eyeballs, and then what I really like doing personally is, you can do a lot just with presets, but I find this is the standard sclera. I find that this sclera with more of a sharp line is going to be generally better for what an Enemu look, you know. And you can always, it's always worth going in and checking on edit texture, because you can, once you're in edit texture, everything's exciting. This is the fun stuff. Most look like this to some extent. We'll go into this more later, but everything can be customized. Everything. It's really cool. And also everything is hair. But alright, we now at least have a more exciting eyeball. Let's go out of custom. Save new item. There we go. And let's talk through presets. So everything will have presets, and as you go, it'll save your customs, which is very, very handy. So a lot of these are previous models I've worked on. Okay, we've got that. Let's see, what's another good one? Again, what really gets people thrown is these. All the stuff on the right side. But realistically, it's just play with it and just start to do stuff. Anything you do adds personality, and again, just have a reference, you have an idea of what you want to do. I 100% built this model off of vibes. I love it very much. It would look far different if I had some references. But yeah, already you can see we can start to imagine more of an interesting character. We can make her eyebrows more red. I do think giving more of an eyebrow really helps. My eyebrow, for example, is very, very thick, and I found the chunky eyebrows, since you have so little expression, really make a difference on VRoid models. You've spent so much time in Sims FromSoft character editors that sliders feel comfortable? Yay! You know, that's actually it. So yeah, there's a lot of them, and so I feel like what happens is folks get super intimidated by all the options, when really it's just, okay, what do you need? As you can see also, you can play with the positioning on all the axes. which can be very important, very, very important. And just play with it and see what feels right. And then also, if you're not sure, edit the texture. You can do a lot just by copying and pasting, making them larger. It's more figure out what feels right to you and your character, and yeah, play around. Because you may find you don't like it later, and that's okay. It's okay to just play with stuff. The custom eyelids are pretty limited, but you can remove them. There's also eyeliner, which has a lot of options. I do think just the default's great. Muse strat, wiggle from top to bottom, see what it does, and find what feels right. Exactly, Gino. Yeah. I think it's just that analysis paralysis hits hard because there are so many options, and that's valid. The only thing that I consider to be required, and this is required, and I wish people told me sooner because it's required. It makes a difference. Is at the very, very bottom. I should see. Is on my cursor come? No, nope, not really. So one day I'll get a cursor. One day. But yeah, at the very bottom of the left-hand side of the screen is a little square face. It looks kind of like an emote. It's called the expression editor. You must click on this once your eyeballs are done. I am serious. So what this does is it can do most of the basic blend shape work can be done here, which you're like, oh my gosh, seriously. You can do more, and there are certain cases where you have to do more in something like HanaTool. But most of like the expression work you can do right from here without leaving your model. And this makes such a difference. Like as you can see, like the smile, this looks a little much. Let's tone it down, you know? We can tone down the eyebrows. We can tone down a whole lot of stuff. We can tone down the mouth, side that smiles too much. And my favorite thing to edit are the closed eyes. I think it makes a big difference. I've considered switching my model's eyes to this, but it does make a difference here. Let's switch up. We're going to go to eyes. As you can see right now, they're enclosed for closed right. All the way open again. Go to whatever your gender is on this because it's limited. And go to happy. And do you see the difference now? Like, look at that. Isn't that just like so better for like the vibe of the model without doing anything basically? You just moved a couple sliders. Like when I found this out, I was like, you are kidding me. And so you do have to do that for each one. So you're going to closed, and you'll have to go in to eyes, closed, and then you go to happy, closed, left, right, left, and then go happy. It'll look a bit weird when you do it this way, but you know, that's moving sliders for you. And now, note, look how happy that is. Like, closed, all ready to go. No real work. It's great. But yeah, I did not know this, and it makes a huge difference. So now you know. Like, if you take anything away from this, please, expression editor. It's worth doing blend shapes. I highly recommend it. This model has full AR kit, believe it or not, but it's not necessarily what you're ready for when you're starting. This you can do right off the bat. And then also, while I'm here, I like editing the vowels because they can be very big. This one's not too bad, high phone, but like, I usually like reducing them just a smidge. Oh nice, you're gonna ask about ARKit later. I don't know if we'll get into ARKit in this one, Red, because that's advanced stuff, but I can definitely post some tutorials on it. You have to export the model in a certain way. So ARKit is done along with a lot of other stuff after the model is complete. So you finish your model, export it. You have to export it in a certain way. Then you install Unity. Then you install HanaTool. And then you go through Perfect Sync. You're mostly wondering supported. It is supported, yeah. So HanaTool does ARKit and does Perfect Sync for the 52 blend shapes. But yeah, if my model behaved in VNyan, I would show you what it's like in VNyan. But like, I have full eyebrow range, and I can do the smirks with this model. It's just that cheek poof, cheek poof. But yeah, it's that I have found this model's tracking behaves so badly in VNyan that we don't deal with it right now. But yeah, ARKit is supported. 52 blend shapes are supported. It's great. But yeah, we have done so many tests now. I don't know why. It's just this model. I just don't like how this model puppets in VNyan. One day, though. But I'm so tired of fighting blend shape curves. I've tried so many. It's very frustrating. But yeah, I'm in the wrong spot now. That's joy of hotkeys. Okay, so the point is still, I would recommend, if you decide to make a VRoid model before you exit doing all your stuff, at least do closed to make sure it closed well. You want to make sure, and sometimes it is really worth another little thing here. Let's see if I can find it. Hide irises. It'll be really creepy when you open your eyeballs, but for some models, including mine, if you actually look at my model, sometimes the irises are visible. When I close my eyes, you see a little bit of red, but it's these small things you can test and see look good. That being said, when you open your eyeballs, then it's creepy. So be ready for that. I have definitely jump scared myself more than once with doing that. So be ready for that. But it does make a big difference. At the very least, do a, I, U, E, O. Based on, because like see how the U here is really, really small? You're just a little possessed, it's fine. Yeah, Tuesday, yes, a little. Yeah, make sure your teeth don't clip below the model's jaw, that too, Hayasa, yeah. Like, I found for most models, if you can at least clip a, I, U, E, O, it will generally behave much better. But like Hayasa said, this is something you can clip and check and make sure that things are generally behaving before you get too far out. Oh, yours does that, Hayasa? Yeah, you should, have you been able to fix it? Is that might be a blend shape fix then, which is the exciting part of VRoid. Okay, good luck fixing it. If you haven't done Hana Tool yet, let me know. I'll throw you my tutorials that I used. But yeah, I like, for example, if you can make the ooh a bit bigger, like you can see that my ooh is pretty big proportionally to this, like if we go back to what it was. So here's default, ooh. You see what I mean? Ooh. I'm trying here. Like, making it a bit bigger feels a bit more natural to the model. And if you can see, my model's mouth moves pretty small, but I found that it matches how I move better than going for a really big expression. And you can do things with VC Face with more expression stuff, and I just found they don't work well for me on camera personally. But yeah, each of these, it's worth doing it. You see, like that doesn't feel quite right. Like just a little smaller. I'm not saying big fix. I'm saying small fix. Little fix. It'll be okay. And the defaults are pretty exaggerated, which is great for telling a new user what expression is supposed to be. Exactly, Tuesday, yeah. It's all about seeing the expressions because also this is all Japanese style. So think about it like Japanese a, I, U, E, O, as opposed to a, I, I, U, O, you know. So keep that in mind too. This is a Japanese software thing, so a, I, U, E, O is worth doing. That's why the E versus I, there you go. Little tip. So yeah, it's worth doing this. And like Tuesday said, it's not great for using as is. I've never had this model clip out. And I think it's because, in the teeth that is, and I think that's because I made the mouth as small as it is. But I will say the joy expression looks horrible. Yep. Kakiku keko. Exactly, Hayasa. Yeah. Mami mume mo. The alphabet, yep. A, I, U, E, O. Kakiku keko dare kara toko. Yeah. Okay, back on track. So that, I go through all of these personally, and one big thing that I wish people knew about, another thing that's really important, I feel like I should pull up my model. I might need to at some point, which I'm more than willing to do. There's a big issue with angry and sad in particular for some eyes of the the eyebrows clipping through the face. It's a real big problem. My model does that a lot. And there is a fix for that. Let me see. I can't remember if it's here, and I don't think so. No. So to fix that, if it's clipping, what you want to do is you're going to go back to eyebrows. Your brain brought it from college Japanese. Valid, Hayasa. But yeah, what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to eyebrow position Z and move them forward. You don't want to move them too forward because you see how it looks kind of wrong in side profile. But you just want to move them a smidge, a hair. And it really, really helps for any clipping issues. And you're all like, we haven't gone to art yet. This makes the art happen. If you don't make the expressions work, you'll get to range of motion tests and be like, this is painful. You want to make sure that the expressions work. Yes, a hair. Yes, a hair, Roz. A hair. The tiniest hairs of the eyebrow hairs. Actually, should I pull up my model? Would that help? This model is very convoluted, but you can start with my model. It might, because every single part of this model has some amount of editing, and that might help. But I just didn't want to accidentally edit my own hair. It would be a bit challenging. No. Yes, the feeling when you make pretty eyebrows on the skin layer. Ooh, yeah, don't do that. So we can get the skin over here. You can actually edit the skin texture. And this is worth doing. You know, you should. I'm making our layer, so we can do that. You can, in fact, do some really cool things on the skin. But be cautious. Make another layer. This way, my shame is not visible. It is good. It is worth doing this. There's a lot of tutorials for doing some amount of neck shading. Like, let's go over here. What if you're going for that tattoo on eyebrows look? Then you go for it, Gino. You go for it. Again, like, this is, joking aside, get as many references as you can. Yes, Cassandra, is that you? Yes, moisturize me. But reference to crud. You'll get better models and be happier with the outcome, even if you're not like a good artist. Like, I feel like I should pull up my presentation. So let me do that, actually, just a quick thing. Not to just show off the slide deck, but because it actually has, yes, I made a full thing. This is actually on the left, my original referencing for outfits. And I didn't know what I wanted. I don't have outfit design knowledge. I am not trained in character design, but I knew I wanted some kind of a vibe about pastel style camp council. Yeah, Sailor Moon shirt, exactly, Isaac. I knew I found myself gravitating towards shorts and a sweatshirt and pastels. And that was what I used to start trying to figure out what proportions I wanted in VRoid Studio. And that helped a lot. So I think even if you, and like actually the one on the right is a reference I'm going to be doing coming up for personal practice. Okay, you still want them to move because it's the skin in the area that's moving, and VRoid Studio needs to be in the eyebrow layer. Yeah, that is a good point, Tuesday. So yeah, if you want to be tattooed on look, like really stuck on, then probably what I would do, it depends on how they move and what you're looking for, but I would see both testing on the skin, because maybe that gets you the kind of movement you want. It probably won't, but you know, it's about testing stuff. A lot of VRoid Studio is try some sliders, see what works, and also knowing what VRoid Studio can and can't do. Because there are some pretty strong limitations, but that doesn't mean you can't get a whole lot done while trying stuff. Oh, other thing I forgot to mention. Come on. You'll be stuck in the face you made in Expression Editor. So you may not want this. This may not be a good plan. Let's close out saving. So as I forgot, like, important tip, just go to Expression Editor and put it in neutral if it matters to you. Like, nothing big. Also, important thing I found personally, no matter what you're afraid of VRoid Studio, give your model a nose. It doesn't have to be a fancy nose, but a nose, some shading, something. Because the default no nose, it really looks, it doesn't give a lot of personality in range of motion and can make your model look very flat. So the big things to do would be, I like doing this particular one. I feel like it's the best, like, I don't know what I'm doing and need a nose. And then, like, I use it in models, so don't, like, I'm not trying to shame it. It's good beginner nose, good safe nose. You can always add on to it or change from there. And then also, I really like doing any variant on cheeks, as it gives a bit more. You can also, again, edit textures or make the color a bit deeper. You know, you can see how big this is, so you get a lot of, just by a little bit darker. It really helps keep things just a bit nicer and more visibly a human face. The more flat you make it, the less it'll look good, even with shaders. You do want some cheek stuff going on, or it won't feel right. Like, I can't tell, but I do actually have cheek color. Yeah, it might be helpful to know about makeup. What do you want me to cover then? Because should we just go through every single one, like, properly now? So, we'll go from the beginning, from the top. This is not about me. This is all about whatever. If someone's feeling something, interrupt me, because I'm here to teach, not to make VRoid models right now. Oh, no, I mean, it's easier to do this if you already know how to apply makeup well. Very true, Tuesday. And also, one thing, if you're feeling just too intimidated, there is a really good online marketplace called Booth. Tuesday, if you get a link for it, otherwise I'll get a link shortly. And Booth has basically almost every kind of VRoid thing you can imagine, and a lot for free. Like, always credit your artists, but definitely worth doing if you want, like, bigger lips, especially for racialized black hair. If you want to get black hair and you don't know how to make black hair, Booth has some really, really good black artists who are doing that, because one of the big limitations, and thank you, Tuesday, is that VRoid does not do anything but really straight or wavy hair. And so if you want more complicated or more curly hair, it's going to be a lot harder. You can make curls, but it's a lot more work, and it's not necessarily what I'd call beginner friendly. Let's put it that way. Like, I can make curls, but it took me a while. We can discuss making curls. It's really cool. It's a lot. But yeah, if you know about makeup, that'll really help. If you don't know about makeup, the presets with at least a little bit more color in them will generally serve you pretty good. Like, you don't need to have the most complex shaded faces. You just need to have more than VRoid starts you with. Because, like, already you can see, like, this is actually looking like kind of like a face. Looks pretty reasonable. Another thing I like to do, is a lot of people like to do, I do recommend doing this. It's going to sound really silly, let's find, or at least might sound silly. For how the face sits, let's see if I can find it. It just takes forever. more as I scroll down. Where is it? Trying to find ears. I find reducing the ear size to be a good thing, just for how the face feels in front view. Yeah, it's really hard to get a Middle Eastern texture in VRoid Studio. Yeah, Hayasa. I just got these brushes from, Love Mura that look really good for braids. But yeah, it's hard to get, like, good curls and good, like 2C, 3A hair, for sure. And it is really frustrating to me how limiting the hair is. But I also understand, like, I feel like I'd hope they would update it, because it is really limiting. It's also, the bodies can also be very limiting. We can get into the discussions of, like, the limits of VRoid Studio, but we're going basics right now here. But yeah. I have seen people do hijab, though, on Booth, and they look really good. So I'm excited to see that, at least. Let's see. Back on track. But, like, at least now we have a pretty reasonable face. I do like moving the ears a bit back. I don't think the ears are bad in front. It's, again, think about how proportionate the ears look when you're working with them. But really here, it's worth spending some time playing with the sliders and just getting a feel for it. Like Gino said, it's a big Bethesda slider pile. And it has a lot of options and a lot of flexibility. And it's really cool. Okay, let me get some tea. Yes. Yeah, metrics Tuesday, metrics. Sorry about the peak there. Okay, we at least now have an improved face. Yay, can't go in with stars. I would definitely, like, if you are, I think it's worth starting by just playing around, and then if I was brand new nowadays, I would put in my references, even if it's just like a list of what I want, and have that ready to go as I'm looking at and going, is this giving the vibe that I want? Is it doing what I want? But okay, with that, let's move on to hair. Because I think there's a lot you can do with the hair that's surprisingly chill, but this is very, very intimidating at first. There is no shame in being intimidated. In fact, where is it? Where is it? Because my hair is a preset. So I should find my hair. Just see if I can. I think it's actually maybe just, I have to find it. I looked it up the other day, but do I know where it is right now? No. Because I looked it up for research. But where are you? I will say, though, like, in the last few updates, VRoid has added a lot of hair options, and that really helps if you're feeling scared that you can pretty much get some nice pit crew level hair options, but you have to have straight or wavy hair. That's the one challenge. Where is this? I'm going to find my hair. We found it last week. Where are you now? I just didn't want to start with pre-made hair. I feel like you're going to recognize a lot of these, because a lot of beginners start with these, which, again, valid. It's what... There we go. That looked familiar. That looks familiar. The backup. Sure, the right one. Nope, not yet. That looks pretty right. No, this one. There we go. Yeah, that looked familiar yet. Alright, let's get the hair. Not that one. There we go. So, voila. This should look slightly familiar. Slight familial resemblance going on here. And you focus on textures or other parts of your model, it might not matter as much as if you're using a stock hairstyle. Yeah. So most people do not clock my hair immediately as preset, even though that literally is my hair. But what you want to do, the real secret, the real fancy stuff, is you want to click in the upper right and go to edit hairstyle. Edit hair bounce is very important. We'll talk about hair bones, of course. But actually, we'll start here though. So VRoid Studio has two kinds of hair sets. They're known as freehand and procedural. They are what they sound like. Freehand means you can draw wherever. Procedural will generate a set of hair for you. And I really recommend when you're starting out to actually look these over and see how they build hair, because it's really informative. Like, you want to learn how the ponytail goes? Here's all the information you can ask for. But today, I specifically want to showcase the pieces that you learn in here and what they all do, because I was scared crudless about all this when I started, and I don't want to leave you in that kind of that confusion. So, alright, as you can see in the upper left, there are 4 little fiddly bits here. We got selection, we got brush, we got retouch brush, and we got control point. Okay, we'll go through this one by one, so don't worry about memorizing it, buddy. And you can see we have move, rotate, and resize underneath that. The reason these are all dead right now, you can't see them, I'm actually going to switch to the front, is they activate when you click on an actual hair guide or a hair section. So as you can see now, they're all activated. Yay! So you click on the hair, go over here. Actually, I'll do one in the front so you can see it better. So what these can do is you can take the whole thing and you can move them, which looks horrible. So let's put it back. Control Z, rotate. That also doesn't look good, but you get the point. And then we can go back in and we can resize. And all of these are really, really helpful, but not right now. Right now, what I'm not going to worry about, hi Phil, welcome to the practice. That's not what I think is worth knowing immediately. Those are worth knowing though. Then from here, brush, you have to access a mesh. So you have to have a mesh already clicked on. But let me get you all a freehand guide so we can see that. I'm just going to move it so we can see it better. So let's move it. So when you activate brush, go over here. So this is where it gets really interesting. Right now we have a set material, and if we scroll it down, it has a set cross section and a curve. What this tells you is how the hair is going to look when it comes out. So see here, that's what it looks like right now. We already know it's going to have the same materials, but let's say we make it flat, right? Check that out. See how different it is right now already? But hi phone. But you can see that the structure is different. You can get a whole lot of stuff just by changing this up. Then, where it gets even more interesting, you start messing with the curve. The curve will often fight back. It's very silly. But if you do this a little bit, different hair. And so all of this works together to create different hair thicknesses. Then, once you get back in selection, you can select individual hair and change the width. Like, whoa. So all of these work together to make the hair different. Right now, though, we're ignoring all of that. I just want to make sure you know what that looks like. So what we're going to do is ignore that. And the biggest thing I think that beginners should know is how to use the control point. Because this was so intimidating and so useful. All right, so what control point does, click on a guide, any mesh, and you see now, you click on individual hair, and bam, you can move all the hairs. So say you don't like how this positions, okay, you can go to selection, maybe it's a bit too wide, maybe it looks a bit too clunky. Width change, bam, control point. All right, move it, bam. All right, let's move this other one, because I feel like they should go together and be buddies. Alrighty. Not quite there. Bam, new hairstyle, basically no work. No longer looking quite like cousins, maybe second cousins. I would recommend doing a lot more than just this, clearly. I'm just trying to show you that, like, this is very simple and can really, really help. Like, this, to me, was mind-changing. Like, oh, wow. Because, like, I did not come in with any Blender knowledge. It was like, oh, I can just sit here and move stuff? Like, and you can move all of it. And maybe you're like, oh, this is not sitting very, I don't like how it's so flat to the face. All right, let's grab the mesh it's on, go here, and we can start mucking with the mesh. Yeah, not cousins anymore. So you can go bam, bam, and look at that. It's a little more fluffy in front. You know, it still would need more zhuzhing to quite work. But like, we're starting to get a different hairstyle is my point. And this can be very fiddly. You can spend hours just moving hair around. Trust me how I know that. But you can start to get layers this way. So you can see now this one's in a different mesh. So it's down below. So you can have layers and effects. And you haven't done anything. There's like, all you've done is you've moved a couple of points around. Also, if like there are too many for some reason, like there are too many things to click on, let's go back and look at the extensions, for example. All right, let's click that. See how it's got a whole bunch of control points and you're like, I don't want to deal with that? Hit S. S is smoothing, and it'll reduce the number of control points you have. It will make it harder to make more complex things, but if you're like, I don't need this many, it's too much, which is very, very important in certain applications, you now can do that. So that's a thing. All right, so that's bare bones basics. I recommend doing this, and there's one other thing I would recommend doing as a beginner, and that is tearing the color apart. You know, how to play this looks fun? Yay, Roz, you should. Like, honestly, what I did for a while was just watch tutorials and try to mimic things. So, next big important thing. When you're back in selection, I recommend doing everything you can to get rid of the initial texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit duplicate material, because just so we can see the difference, right? And we're going to go to edit texture, which is where all the fun stuff happens. So, most people will tell you when they think of like VRoid, they complain about the VRoid hair shine, right? Like that's like, Oh, VRoid, look, it's plastic. Is this a free or FOSS program? It is a free program, Gino. I don't believe it's FOSS. But for a free program, it's doing pretty good. So I like going here and just doing this. And then this is what I learned from a Japanese tutorial. I think is the coolest thing. You can max out all the sliders. So bam, 3000, darker hair. Bam, giant slider of doom. Great. So then being a little fancy, make another layers and control it better. Okay. Make some gradient. Bam, new stuff. Think it's too dark? Layer opacity. There you go. Congrats. You've now made something different than what it had to start. And that's it. Now, I don't like doing this personally. What I like doing when I'm doing this version is I like also giving it a little bit of a buffer here, like this. And now when you move it with the rotation, you can have some different colors. That's very nice. Look at that. But now we have a very basic, beginner-friendly, highlighted hair without the main highlighter yet. So next thing you can do that I think is very useful is turn the highlight any other color. Seriously, because look at this already now. See, now it has like a rich, warm brown to it now versus what it had. And then what you can also do there is you can take this and you can change its layer opacity a bit, which doesn't help it too much. But now we've got at least better hair over here. So let's see the difference, right? Again, I did not do very fancy yet. We haven't gone anywhere. But we can take all these, we can swap materials, and give me just a second. I usually would have, if I was doing this on a model where I was making it not as a demo, I wouldn't do this. But you can see the difference now. We've got, it's not perfect, but at least now we've got some kind of a color thing, right? And you can see that there's like weird popping ups. That's because of my little round. It has a little bit of a different positioning. So what I recommend doing then is going to width, maxing it out to 0, and then you can change the offset. So now you've got, and this is actually how my hair works. You can see that the hair highlight is not a complete circle. So I can just go boom, and then go move stuff. Go here, and then boom, move the offset. Now, again, this is not perfect right now. There are things I would do to make it better if I was, not making a tester model. But you see now how it's like, there's some attempt of some variety now, and the hair kind of looks more interesting. How like, I'd still consider this to be a beginner model, and I would still work on the hair some more. But you see the difference between this and an absolute no editing, right? Like how it's starting to look like it has some kind of personality. But let's work on hair accessories, which may have to take a bit longer. So, hi Asa, what would you like to know in particular? Because hair accessories are a big thing, and it's advanced chaos. Let's put it that way. It's some tea. Oh, making noise. So what I mean is that the true secret of VRoid is all is hair. All is hair. And so when you get into hair accessories, there's a few ways you can do it. But what I normally start with is I will make a new hair guide. What I like starting with is, here's the one I was working on. Let's remove all of the hairs I made. It's already, mesh is already set up. I usually start first, you can see the mesh fits the head. So you scroll all the way down and you stop it from fitting to the head. So now you have a nice flat thing to work with. Then I move into mirrored so that they go on both sides. And I make this puppy as flat as I can. This is if I'm making like earrings, right? So if I'm making earrings, I make a super flat panel. And then once I have a flat panel, so now it's all flat. Okay. Let's add a hair. So what we're going to do is take this brush and we're going to max it all the way out to as flat as we can manage. Super flattest thing. We are flatter than the flattest flatworm to ever flatten. Great. What? Not the hair clip. It's all hair, Dave. Everything's hair. Yes. So this is not how I made the moon. This is how you make like a flat object that you want to put somewhere else in the hair. So I do put the brush on. Oh, you're still, I forgot it's still mirrored. So once you have this, you now can do whatever you need to. So let's go back to control point. You make it as, like I said, as flat as you can stand, because now you can go into the layer and make whatever you need with it. This is basically, congrats on having a canvas, because like, okay, say we want, let's take this, we go out, go to selection, we duplicate the material again. I just find duplicate behaves better. And we're going to edit the texture, and we're going to remove all of this, and we're going to remove view, remove the highlight, and let's erase everything. Bam. Okay. Say I want to draw an earring. It's a lot easier to do it on the thing, but wait, so actually why I usually recommend keeping this up. I was just going too fast. Going new. Also, we have a break soon, so I was trying to be cognizant of that. But yeah, what I like to do then is make a layer that's not this, because this tells you your range, right? And you can make this bigger, you can make this smaller. This is just me making a thing. So let's first make the background layer something we can see, right? Let's make it pink, so I can at least visibly see it, right? And you can draw on here. I'm just showing the stuff. So say you want, because also like for drawing hearts and things, yeah, draw it on here. So you can go boop. And maybe we put a little highlight on it because it's cute. Yeah. And then we remove that. Did I do it all in the same layer? I did it all in the same layer. So it goes. That happens. So we are going to brush and remove my shame. But you see how different it is now on the UV map section than where I was drawing it. So try this again. So it goes. Okay, we go here. We go small. Choop. Go pink. Go small. And that. And now we have a silly little heart. It's cute. But the benefit of this is now it's flat, is you can put it on stuff and then curve it as necessary. How they usually recommend for beginners, though, is not to this. But again, this is like you're making a flat object on a flat surface, and you don't want to deal with anything but your own curves. This is the way to go. This is how you make basically anything that's super duper flat. Not exciting, but it'll do. If you want to make my moon, which is on a curved object and matches my head, you basically make that. So we'll go back. We're going to add a freehand hair guide. And you start here with it matching the head. So the benefit of this, I still don't quite know how I made the moon, but I know how to make moons. If you want to make my moon, I recommend starting with something. There's two ways to make moons, but I find for hair, it's easier just to have it already set up in here. So what you can do is you've got this mesh that's fitting the head. We will go with this material just so we can see it a bit. Actually, no, original is fine, just so we can see it. We'll change the color later. And what we'll do is get a thingy, right? It doesn't look good right now. It's not, we're worried about getting things on the thing, not about how it looks right now, because right now we're just solving that where it sits, right? So the benefit is that because this is an exact positioning over the hair, you can just take the whole group and then go, oh, hey, you're in the wrong position. Let's go here, right? All right, now the moon's visible. Let's duplicate materials. I should say this model that I am using has like 30 materials, so this just is how things go. Go in, let's make it some amount of orange so we can see it. There we go, bam. I'm not going to do a good job on this right now. Okay, it's time for a break in 30 seconds. Okay, I'm going to finish at least making this look vaguely like it sits on the head, but we will have a break in 30 seconds. It's a good chance to sit up, take a break, stretch your legs, think of more questions to ask because we've been going for an hour and my brain is running out of ideas. But yeah, whatever you need to, I hope it's a good chance for you to get some rest, and we'll be back and finishing up on hair accessories when we get back from the break. So I'll see you all really soon. I'll get more tea because I'm going to need it. Dear gosh, I've been talking a lot, but this is fun. I hope you're having fun, and we'll be back really soon. Bye! And we're back. I just want to say, how is everyone feeling? Because I just condensed like the majority of my 3 months of initial learning into an hour. And so, oh, thank you, Tuesday, for tea. And so if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, that is reasonable. And I don't want you to feel like you have to know all of this immediately. I need to get Honey's over here, a lid. That's what you're going to hear. When I did this, I did small tutorials a bit at a time. And then I walked through it again and tried stuff. So if you're feeling lost, ask me any questions you have. Or also, I highly recommend just watching videos that go through beginning tutorials and try doing it yourself. Oh, the tea. Can I get the honey? There we go. It's because it'll feel more intimidating because the honey is loud. Yep. I feel like a filter feeder. I got some tasty morsels on mini tendrils. That was my goal. My goal is like, if you come away with a few things that you feel like make you feel a bit more confident, I don't expect you to get everything stuck in your head right now. Again, this took me several months of just practicing and feeling more confident, because I had I started Blender after this. So I was very lost and very, very confused. I'm like, as my mic is on. And I understand looking at all this and thinking, you expect me to know all that? No. Just learn what you can and do your best. Because that's all I ask of you is, I hope you're having fun, really. Very good. Yay. So yeah, Hayasa, since you had specific questions, what are you feeling? Because this is basically like short of a bow. Like, bows are actually really interesting. Bows are fun. But they're basically, it's the same thing. How I approach hair, if this helps you at all, is I think of it like making a wig, because I learned wig form at all a little bit. I'm not good at wigs, but at least I learned some wig crafting. And when you're working with wigs, a lot of it is you have a structure and you do your work over the structure. So your goal with VRoid Studio is you make the structure and then you make the hair. And it makes, at least for me, it makes more sense that way. I'm like, oh, I get it now. It's like, for example, this is basically what I have on my head. The only difference right now is I would shade it better because I know how to shade now. But like that's it. That is a silly example of my own moon right there. If I was going to fuss it, I could. But that's it. That's how you make hair clips. You either work on the mesh to do stuff, or you create a flat object with the mesh and you use that mesh as a base. So like Roz's hair, Roz has an earring on her model, and that's just a flat piece of mesh that I drew an earring on. That's it. It's simple and as challenging as that. Because yeah, when I got started with this, I was so scared. Which actually, let's talk about procedural hair guides, because that's scary stuff. So procedural is what it sounds like. They scared me so much when I got started, but they're really, really helpful actually. They're just kind of scary. I wonder how artists make accessories in Blender. Pretty easy Tuesday. If you're good at making stuff in Blender, you can make the stuff in Blender, and then you can put it on in Blender, but you'll have to do all of the rigging in Unity. So it's more, are you up for Unity? Then you can do the stuff. But yeah, so let's look at procedural groups, because that's also really worth knowing, and they can help with hair accessories. So like I said, the two versions are procedural and freehand. Freehand is you draw what you want. Procedural will position things. So it's easier if you can see it, if you can get the not fit on head. So you can see it makes hair for you. It's great. It's actually really great, because you can pick a lot of stuff. You can still pick the hair texture like before, and then you can pick like all the normal hair parameters. But let's go down to guide parameters for procedural. Here we go. So you can spread them out. So like if you want to say add some volume to a hair, or like a back of a head with little effort, there you go. You can change where the center part sits. So if you want to do like a side ponytail thing, you can do that. It's really handy. You increase the hair count, which is great. You can change the hairline, so you can have it start out further back. If you want to make an anemone, very true, we could do that. We could make an anemone. I don't want to right now, but you can. You can also do chunky patterns for how it's not behaving right now, but they'll give different distances. You can do a whole lot just with this. Like, let me save this, and we'll switch to a different model I'm working on, just to show you like an example of that being very silly. I saw this model thing on Booth, and I realized I could make it, and so I'm currently working on it. You'll get a little sneak preview of something I'm working on, if it'll ever load. Let's go to, come on, back to model selection. So there's Roz's model, but we can play that later. So come on. Come on, VRoid Studio, you can do this. I believe in you. It is still loading. Yay. I have some of my tea while it takes its sweet time. I've never seen it take this long. But okay. So, as an example of like advanced silly stuff you can do, I need to actually go back to working on this. This is part of my Halloween outfit. I made the little springies, and I'm working on making a pumpkin. Thank you, Hayasa. Glad you like the overall model. But yeah, I'm working on making a pumpkin. I've been avoiding working on the pumpkin, but I made the springs in VRoid Studio as well, and they will have pumpkins. It's not done yet, but like all I did was I made, yes, the Dealy Boppers. I made the spring, and then I duplicated it so it'd be in the exact same position. It just flipped, and eventually I'll finish it. I just don't want to deal with it right now because it's not, I just don't want to deal with it right now for October. To the spring, not yet, Bougie Nerd, but I was planning on playing with the hair bones a fair bit, so they at least bounce. They'll sway. I thought of the idea and then didn't feel like dealing with it more. But yes, hi Bougie Nerd, welcome. Yes, and indeed, Spwink. So yeah, that's in progress. There you go. Secret Halloween knowledge. Eventually I get the face done. I just haven't felt like dealing with it. I got the idea and then I was like, I'll come back to it. This is what procedural hair can do, because this is a freehand for the curl, the spring, and then procedural for all the stuff for the pumpkin. So basically you can do a lot with procedural once you have the patience for it. It's far more handy than you would think. Let's swap back to the beginner model. Don't save because I haven't done anything. Go back to test John. Get some tea. Alright. Is there anything anyone would like me to play with just to show some variations? Because we can talk about clothing. I will say clothing is advanced work. It doesn't mean that it's bad work or that you can't do it. It's, you need to think in terms of layers. And so for a lot of folks starting out, it's very doable to make a beginner outfit, but to make more interesting outfits takes a bit more practice and ideally a tablet or something you can get references like textures and stuff from. So a good example would be where is it? I don't remember where it is anymore. Yes, and there are hotkeys. I should probably explain that. Let's see. But some of my sweaters do, yes, the weave, you're right, welcome. We're just showing off procedural hair stuff. So let me get back to hairstyle. We'll go in here. And oh yeah, if you're ever like, I can't seem to access my hair, you cannot do edits when you're on overall hair. So you can see here, I can't access anything. Oh, you've never done a model. Very, very cool. But yeah, this if you're like, I can't do stuff, what's happening? But you've done flat pixel art, which is very cool. Yeah, if you're ever stuck, you can't figure out how to edit texture, make sure you're on anything else but overall hair, because then you can access edit hairstyle. I don't know why that is. It just is. So here we are back with our stuff. We'll go back to front. We'll get rid of the procedural guide because it's a little distracting. But now we have a very weird alternate version of me throwing my brain. I'm going to remove the moon because it's throwing me now. I'm staring at very excited me with brown eyes. All right, so my second cousin once removed. But yeah, now we have our model. Let's talk outfits. Close out saving. So there's nothing wrong with starting out with the stuff that VRoid Studio actually has a fair number of outfits. They're cute. There's nothing wrong with starting with them. I've seen some very good models that look very custom that just use a VRoid Studio in-house outfit. Hi, Professor. Welcome. Hello there, Monday, and everyone. Hope you're all well. Thank you. I'm doing okay. How about you? Yeah, we're talking intro to VRoid Studio here. And yay, oh yeah, does everyone have a sticker? I think everyone's on their sticker today, but better to check. Get some tea. Just a sec. That's another cup of peppermint with honey, which is nice. Okay. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with just going through here and picking stuff, and you can do a fair bit from editing these. So as an example, this is actually, some of you will this will look very, very familiar. This is actually the base for my strange horticulture outfit, because I didn't feel like making one. So as you can see, the shorts, they're a look. They kind of work. This is a very good Lolita OG outfit, but it's not what I wanted for strange horticulture. So what I first did was I went into custom, and where is it? Come on, load up. I stole Roz's pants, as I keep on saying. I really did. I literally just went here and stole Roz's pants if they'll ever load. Oh gosh, thank goodness for the cover. Come on, let me load please so I can see Not Booty. Oh dear, it's still loading on my end. So it goes. Okay. If you don't want to deal with that, you want to do a preset, I'll show you how I just made Roz's thing. Roz's pants are based off of these pants. I basically went, oh, I don't like this buckle. Yes, safety shorts are important. I did fully censor before we got started. But yeah, Roz's pants are based on these. I was like, these are good, but I don't like this. This buckle is doing nothing for me. It's fine in the outfit it's in. I just didn't like it for the look we were going for. And literally all I did was I went in and I copy and pasted the outfit so they had both sides. But you can totally steal from various outfits in VRoid Studio and various layers. So if you're like, I like this one part, you can just steal one part. It's really great once you get into it. But all right, we now at least have pants as opposed to shorts. And what we can do next that I think is very cool is you can change the colors. It's pretty limited. It would be better to change the colors in Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint, but you can still do more than you would think color-wise. So all I really did was I went to edit texture. I didn't do lots of editing, but this is all I did. And I was like, you know, it should be purple. And that's basically all I did, was I just got the color I wanted, and then I went through each one, and I changed the colors, and that's it. And you can make a pretty custom look for most people for just doing that. Still don't like that color for the vest. Let's make this all red. We're very red right now. But the point is still, you have a more interesting, warm-toned brown look for most people, and it looks more unique for basically no work. I think that's pretty cool. And again, all of these are just 50 Shades of Rust. Very true. And if you're like, okay, I don't like this texture I'm on, make sure you're on the right layer. This is on the vest. Don't like the vest? No vest. Now, we're noticing there's now a problem known as you have no body. This is valid. And a problem in some things. Okay, let's go find that layer. All right. Yeah, oh, indeed red. But what you could instead do is you could just literally fill all this in. Look, if you go for a ghost. Yeah, you're right, Deb, but you can also just bop in. It's not going to be perfect right now. Like, I'm not going for accuracy here as much as going for, thank goodness she has a torso. But you could, if you wanted to, just sit down and blend this all in and have a brand new look for basically nothing. I will say, though, as a heads up, the blur tool in VRoid Studio is one of the worst blur tools I have ever used in my life, and I mean that affectionately. It can be very, very good, and it can be the worst thing you've ever used in your life, because it's very slow. And let me show you, because okay, so if you can see the tips of my hair, they're purple, right? I hand blurred those in VRoid Studio. It took me 15 minutes to just blur the tips of my hair. I was crying by the end of it because it was going so slowly. The bigger the brush is, the slower it goes. So let me just show you, like, as an idea. Like, oh, it's behaving for once. Oh, no, because I'm still on brush. I'm not in blur. Like, why is it behaving? I'm on the wrong tool. Like, see, now, okay, you see that. That is not you being slowed down. That is how long it's taking for me in VRoid Studio. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. However, when you have nothing, it's better than nothing. If you're not ready for CSP or doing your editing layers elsewhere, yeah, take a tea. I'm going to take a break while it still loads. I think it's done now. But, like, if you do in contrast, let's make a thin one. You see how it's fine? Like, that. It works fine. It's just, it's so much faster to go into texture editing and go to link texture in VRoid Studio and Clip Studio Paint. Like, what I do is I will make big blocks of color, and then I will blur them out in Clip Studio Paint, which is like 3 times as fast and doesn't make you want to cry from the thing breaking on you. So highly recommend, if you're doing custom work, to look into the VRoid XY little plugin, because it's really, really nice. But yeah, that's how you can definitely go and make a lot of custom stuff. And then, like, what I might do, for example, is literally go into the layer and copy and paste the buttons. Like, you don't need to be fancy with art here. Just copy paste it till it looks right, put it in the right position, get some blurs. Hi Zella, welcome. Yep, we are working on VRoid, but you can see now you can make some pretty unique custom designs without doing a whole lot, which is really nice. However, it's always worth trying new stuff. So let's talk very custom. But yeah, I think for most people, when you're getting started, zooming 64, fantastic. Or mooming, yeah. Let me get some tea. Yeah. Like I said, no matter what, if you're just getting started with VRoid Studio, this is where I'd recommend stopping. It doesn't mean you can't go further. It's just, we're going to get really complicated really fast right now. And this is why I was like, it's worth just playing with the presets and removing the pieces you don't like. It's a lot less stress. So let's go from the beginning. Let's close out saving. What I'm going to do is, when you are making an outfit, you want to evaluate, and from scratch, you need to consider what pieces you want. So let's say we'll make like a puffy Lolita outfit, right? Again, have references normally. This is me being a goober. Let's go to presets. we're going to pick something really, really basic, because when you make layers in here, everything goes over your base and you can't delete your base. You have to just hide it. And you're only allowed 5 templates per section, which gets really complicated really fast. So, all right, let's get, what's a good base top thing? So, all right, we've got this. It's not very exciting, but the point is we're just going to showcase layers. So now we have a top, which you can play with this, but it doesn't let you do a whole lot. So I'm going to go to edit texture. We're going to save because it's going to be mad at us otherwise. It is worth saving. So, all right, the cool thing here now begins with custom textures. So you add a template, and you're like, oh no, that's the sliders return. Most stuff you're going to make in VRoid Studio is going to only involve a couple things, mainly the long coat or the bodysuit. They're great. It's great. It's very intimidating, but don't worry about it. I feel that this particular one, long coat, high neck, is like basically where I live in. My sweaters are all this. But because it has the most sliders. All right, so you go to slide, you pick the button on the right with the sliders, and note we now have more parameters than we know what to do with. All right, and now we begin work. Like, okay, say we'll make a bolero, right? A cute bolero to go with everything. First thing I'm doing is removing basically everything. Oh, the brush. Why are you doing that? Why are you not going to eraser? Thank you kindly. All right, so now we have the bottom cut off. There we go. And let's go a bit higher. I think the bolero should start around here. Oh, up here. Let's make this thinner. And now we start thinking. So, okay, I know I don't want that collar. The collar is no good. It does not spark joy. All right, let's erase the collar. And just kind of block it. Right now we're going for we're not going for anything but vibes. So we go up the center. Kind of want it to go over here. So I think I'll go like that. Erase that. Like right now, don't worry about exactness. I'm not kidding. Go for vibes. Go for, is it cute looking on screen enough that you can edit it? Like right now, I don't like how non-rounded this looks. So let's curve that a bit more. All right, move the center because I did that. Okay, let's go here. Cut. And then we will zoom in. All right, we now have a very basic, very not sparking much joy bolero top. But hey, it's doing its best. It's trying very hard. But we haven't gotten interesting yet. We're just getting started. But we can now think about it. All right, now we can go back, go to all the parameters, and now we get fancy. We can play with everything. Shoulder slope, shoulder poof. You want to have a poofy sleeve? Do you want to have like thicker sleeve maybe? Do you want to just like start playing with this? I like, sleeve puff, right? Sleeve puff big. It's not feeling quite right. Let's go cuff flare. Let's go really big cuff flare. There we go. All right, now we have something that's looking more Lolita-esque. And we haven't really done much yet. Let's see. Is there anything else I like for this? So maybe, no, it doesn't work right now. So you can play at the waist width, and you can do negative on the sliders and go over. So I don't like it, negative 10, a little bit, a little bit more in. And so all the sliders can be really messed with, have lots of fun. It definitely does, there's a whole lot you can do, but the benefit of the bodysuit, usually the long coat or the bodysuit, is they have the most parameters, so you can change most stuff. And it gives you a lot of options. Like, that's why my sweater works at all, is that I have a poof that was available in the long coat. Otherwise, my sweater would not work at all. But yeah, now what I could do is I could take all of this. Yes, reality can be whatever you want to be, Tuesday, yes, and everything is hair. See? But that's like the gist of very basic stuff, because you can start layering now. I could add a skirt over to this, and then add even another skirt if I wanted, and then have a skirt peeking out from the skirt. But as you can see, I'm kind of limited on what I can do with a mouse. I'm not going to look super accurate right now. It's going to look it looks kind of messy, right? Like, it doesn't look professionally done. It needs something. It needs a zhuzhen. And a lot of that would be done in Clip Studio Paint, where I would probably change the color to be a bit more cream. I would add in some more decorations and definitely add some lace to give it another thing. And you can also always, you can duplicate in the same layer. So you can take this one. They're all going to be on the same parameters. So you can also, and then say you want a bigger layer over that one, because this lets you do layer for textures. You can duplicate this one. And now you could go even poofier. And so you could have multiple layers of lace on this if you really wanted to. There's a whole lot you can do, but you can't really do a whole lot in here without a tablet or some way to do drawing. That's the real limitation here. but yeah, you can get close. What I would highly recommend doing also is I like doing a layer for all of the details. So like say you wanted to have lace on this, right? What I'd recommend doing, I'm going to hide all these. Let's get this out of the way. Is I would take the top layer here. I would rename it to lace, just as the details. And then I would go in with like the worst, clearest color for the whole design. Like not necessarily bad color, but just visibly clear so you can see what you're doing. And this is literally what I do. I would just go in with a brush on symmetrical and just put the brush where I want it to go. Say I want to have like a little detail here. I can get all of this in, and then because the 3D warping is so different than how your brain might be doing it, you've got it all ready to go in Clip Studio Paint. So if you want this, I'll layer maybe a lace here. You want to have a little lace on the edges. See how like it's easy just to even make a mistake here? But now I could take this, and what I can do is I can just export this layer when it's done. And yeah, UV makes fools of us all. It's so true Tuesday. But yeah, you could take all of this, put it in Clip Studio Paint, and you don't have to worry about mucking up the lower texture. And that really, really helps. Because placement is hard. Like, I am so bad at UV placement, but like this you could make into a very lacy, pretty bolero with very little work. But it's just, you see why I don't recommend starting here? It's a bit intimidating. You're gonna want to use something else. There are folks who draw in stuff themselves, but I found that it often doesn't give the effect you're hoping for. The best effects I've gotten with this, like, okay, I drew in my own sweaters. That is my own work, but I purposely wanted it to look like a kid drew it. It's meant to be like science fair style sweaters. And that's why, like, I didn't want to put in the effort. The only thing you're understanding is you have a headache. Oh no, Zello. Oh no, I hope you feel better soon. But yeah, like, does anyone have any questions? I've just thrown most of the intimidating stuff at VRoid Studio at you at lightning speed because I was trying to figure out, like, what to cover. So the answer is, it's 6 a.m., go to sleep. I keep forgetting what you're like, happy time zone. Please go to sleep. I'm glad you could make it, but go to sleep. Some tea. But that is how you make more complex things. Like basically everything you see in VRoid Studio that looks really, really fancy is usually someone doing something like this, blocking it, and then going into Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop and making it pretty. And like, yeah, Tuesday, sleep debt is just a number. May we all get enough sleep. And this is really how I do most of my work. Like, for example, all the more complex sweaters were made in Clip Studio Paint after blocking them like this in VRoid Studio. Oh, you want to walk to the pink pixel girl? Well, thank you. But yeah, like, I feel like this is the scariest part because the hair is intense, but it's not nearly as intense as trying to get all of this to work. And we haven't even touched Blender yet, thank goodness. Blender can do some wonderful things with VRoid, but it is complex. Which actually, let's get the bolero off for now, because this is fine. Let's talk hair bones. Because hair bones, I've got something where, like, if I could teach you anything basic, let's get you a little bit less scared of hair bones. It's very important stuff. Let's see if it's a new item. There we go. And again, if you have any questions or want to interrupt me and go, hey, can we cover this thing again? Not the hair bones. Hair bones! Okay, because hair bones are very important. Very, very important. Actually, I think I'm going to pull up Roz's model because that's really, really good to see hair bones in action. So, let's save. Boo. As Roz's hair, the biggest challenge is getting the hair bones right. And it'll be easier to see it then. So, there we go. Wait for it to load. The hair bone is get to the other hair bone. Yeah. So hair bones are very weird. I'm not going to lie. I'm still sometimes going, there's a lot of learn by feel. So yes, this is Roz's model. I am Roz's VTuber parent. I was very proud of this one. It's a good job. You don't even know how to create a proper mesh? Yes. Hi Roz to Roz. There we go. Looking pretty. Yeah. We can talk meshes if you want, Zello. We can go back to that. So let's talk. So you can see Roz's hair is complicated. Roz's hair is a double split 2-color mesh with custom highlights, and there's a lot of interesting, the meshes in this are fun. I had a good time. Like, there's a whole lot of custom mesh going on in here. Yay, glad you think so, Phil. But yeah, so I'm using Roz's because Roz's has some really interesting hair bones. Because when I was running range of motion tests, the braid was continually cropping into the shirt. And I was like, no. so much hair. Need reinforced neck muscles to hold it up. Exactly. And so the longest part of this for me wasn't the hair. It was getting the hair bones to work. Because I have a pet peeve of like, I understand that it's scary, but if you can get the clipping to stop in hair, it looks so much better. It's just so much better. Okay, so let's go. And we're going to go in. So you start with going to front or anything you want to go. And then what you want to do is you want to go to edit hair bounce, which I know it's going to be scary. It scared me too. So what you want to do is when you try and get the hair bones, as you see right now, the hair in the front is colored, and each one represents a bone group. Yes, Tuesday, we get through this together. So what you need to know is that hair is blocked into groups, and each group you can have as individual hairs is going to be one bone group. And you want it to just look right. There's no like proper, each hair has to have a bone group. How I look at it is make it as few as you can stand, because each one you add is going to add complexity to the model. Oh, nah, galvanized square steel with screws you got from your third auntie should do the trick. Oh no, Zello. But yeah, what I did was each time I was thinking of this, I threw her in the camera, because you can do a wind check, and I looked at how the hair moved. And I was like, do I like this? Do I dislike this? And then I would play with it one by one. But the braids are where we get interesting. So you can see here, I've even got some little tiny ones for wispies. Because I found these, for example, looked better separate from the main hair. And some of her hair doesn't move at all. Because sometimes you don't want the hair to move. It'll make things look better sometimes when things are stable. So like most of this doesn't move very much. I think most of the back doesn't move at all. And so, but I wanted the wispies to move because it's cute. Okay, so let's look at her extensions. There we go. So you can see each braid is its own bone group because you want the braid to work together. But this is actually several meshes, believe it or not. I think let's look at the bone groups just to show you what I mean. So you can see there's 1 here, 2, 3, 4 hair groups in here. And they're all working together on this set. And so we have here, as you can see, we have bones, fixed point, stiffness, and gravity, and the hit radius. The big ones here, normally you wouldn't go this high. It's all about how things move for you. And so bones, usually people recommend 3 to 5, and you usually want to have, I don't want to mess with Roz's hair too much. So you can move the fixed point up and down, and that moves where the hair starts moving from. Then you can move how stiff it is, how gravity impacts them. Control Z, because we're not doing that. Uh-oh, move the fixed point back up. Fine. Well, it doesn't, I'm going to hit don't save anyway. And the number of bones you can reduce, and because each bone you add in adds complexity and makes it move more flexibly. But the more bones you add, again, the bigger this file becomes, and that can impact load rate. So you normally don't want to have more than about 3, but this is what made sense for this particular model. As you can see, it's got a very high hit radius. So the hit radius impacts how the model's hair moves against the body. And so I'm going to purposely muck this up. We're going to make it really, really low. Okay, we're going to take this, hit close without saving, and we're going to check her in the wind tunnel. Roz, you're going to love it. Go to camera. And what I would do when I started was I looked at how the hair moved. It's different when you're doing it in VC Face, but it's a lot easier to start testing this way. Let's see, we go to wind, and we go to x-axis. It's behaving much better today, of course. We can see how it's already starting to do that. Yes. This will help out with our hair bones. Yay! Just help from ladies wear super long and thick, heavy hair extensions. Exactly, Rita. But you can see how she's already clipping here, and I haven't got the wind very high. So I would look at that and go back to the drawing board and try and see what made sense there for each set of hair. And I also then would take in VC Face and see how it moved when the body moved down. In general, though, you can get a pretty good idea just from checking with stuff. See how it's already like clipping through? Yes, been pale by your own hair. Another Monday. Yeah, that's basically it. And exactly, it's Zello. And yes, how windy, yes. And it really is down to just another Monday moon. Excellent, you're right. But yeah, it's down to personal preference and vibes here. But for me, I don't like seeing hair clip if I can avoid it. And so we played a lot with the hit radius. You know what? It's a good one, Rita. I was like, my brain is mush while thinking about all these topics. It's all down to what do you want the hair to do and how do you want the hair to move. And like you can see right now, I really like having certain pieces move. Like you see here, like the braids the braids move, but if you can see, the back of the hair doesn't move because I wanted to make sense for someone who's moving not very much with their head, you know? So like if you have braids, they don't tend to move a lot. So you don't need to have the hair moving that much, right? As opposed to my very, very floppy ponytail. So it's all about figuring out what makes sense for your hair and then putting them together in a group and making sure that group makes sense. Because, or a good example there, for example, if you can't really see it very well here, but this right here is the black hair tie is its own mesh, right? And at one point, I forgot to include it. You want to see what that looks like as we're doing horrible things? Because you will see like why it matters to really pick your bone groups carefully. Okay, let's see. Will it load out? So let's go back to hair bounce, and let's take this. And where is that one? Oh, let's find it. So we're gonna ungroup it. Come on. Okay, remove hair from hair group. Where did it go? Ungrouped hair. All right, let's do something cursed. Roz is like, I'm very glad you're not hitting save. So I did do this when I was testing by accident. I thought I grabbed all the bones and I hadn't. So we go back. Yes, this is going to be very oh dear. But yeah, this is why you test it here. You can do better range of motion tests when you're in VC face or tracking, but when you're doing base tests. Yeah, see how weird that looks? Isn't that great? Yeah. So definitely just make sure everything's connected and you'll be fine. That's really about it. Like, all it's down to is really usually you just want to reduce the hair bones and get them to a position where it gives the right kind of floppiness for the hair you've got. And if you're not sure, white tail meal fallow Tuesday. But yeah, if you're not sure if you like how it's sitting, just run a test. That's really about it. And if you're not sure how many bones to add, it's always good to look at an example VRoid model and see if you like how their hair moves. Like, I really like, let's see, personal example. I don't like how my bangs clip. It's hard to see in the small version. Model selection. Don't save. But my bangs clip into my head, and it bothers me. One of these days, I'll remember to fix it. Let's see, it's hard to see. Head clip in. So if I was fixing things right now as an example, I would go into my hair, look at the hair bones, which I usually do a test on. Let's take her back. Some tea. Like, okay, let's throw her back into hairstyle when she loads up. She's like, what are you doing? Why have you done this? All right, we go back. And all this is just, practice and seeing what you enjoy or don't like. What sparks joy? What doesn't spark joy? And try again. So we go to hair bounce. I know. Okay, so that's group. We look at, say, this group. I mean, see how it's got pretty low, the bones are low? So maybe we increase the bones. Maybe we increase the hit radius a bit. What that does with hit radius, by the way, is it impacts all the hair pieces around it. So one thing I might consider is with this bone group, it might make sense to separate some of these out more and keep a small hit radius so they just clip less. So that's an option. And I would just run tests like this and see how they look until I'm happy with it. I just haven't done this for this model because I forget to do it every upgrade one of these days. It doesn't bother me enough, though. Like, what bothers me is when it's clipping through the front of the shirt. For this, I barely notice it. But yeah, what matters here is just you get them. See how low this is? You want the fixed point, which is up here, to be on the lower side for bangs, because most of this wouldn't move very much. And then you just want to make sure that it kind of just makes sense, right? There's not a need for a lot of bones. You can reduce it and see if you like that. 2 to 3 bones. 3 bones is a pretty good average. Fixed point just needs to be on the lower side for something that where the hair starts moving is where the fixed point should be. And then you just want to play with stiffness and everything until you like it. That's it. So that's hair bones. And also, one thing that's nice about it is you can actually, if you have a thing where there's no hair bones yet, you can auto-generate bone groups. Do that. And don't like it. So, okay, let's auto-generate fewer bone groups. Okay. That works. That's fine, But you could always, for example, then say this bone group feels wrong. It does kind of feel wrong to me right now. So you can go in, look it over, see what you think. And maybe you go, hey, I'm not a big fan of this hair being the bone group. So you can just go, all right, remove hair from bone group. All right, now you can see that it's not in a bone group. All right, let's remove this hair from bone group. I feel like these two should be a bone group. So let's take these two. Bam, and create bone group. Go us. That's it. That's as hard and as easy as it is. But it's just really about practice and figuring out what feels right for vibes, because you might look at it in a test and go, meh. And that's okay. But it's more important to practice it and see what you think than be scared of it. I'm going to tea because I feel like it's very scary when you start, and it's not meant to be. It's meant to help you. Except curls. Curls are cursed. I'm sorry. I like making curls, but they're weird. They're really, really weird. Like, okay, I'm gonna make a curl and let you all see what I mean. See, curls are one of my favorite things to make, and probably the bane of my existence. Oh, curls. So how you make curls? We're gonna throw in the front, edit the hairstyle, make a new freehand group. All right. Can't believe I talked myself into doing this. Fit to head, no more. Move it so you can see it. You get to the size you need. So you go to resize, because you're going to want it to be roughly what you want. When you're starting, it's easier, I found, to start at the rough size and position you want than to end in the rough size and position you want. So alright, let's try making like Teto style twin tails, right? So it kind of needs to have a shape like this, curve down. Not right on that side, so curve it down, try and get it, again, as close as you can. Does not do perfect, but the closer you can, the better. This is about to be very cursed. Alright, so what you do with this cursed little thing, you get the hair the way you want, you cry about what you're about to do, because it's really not that bad, I'm being silly about it. So, you start by getting the hair, oh, wrong thing, you need to get it you want one hair piece, so you start here, you're like, alright, that's not so bad. What you're going to do next, take the hair. You're going to grab your touch brush. Oh boy. And you get ready. Because now, you need to go around the entire thing. And yes, there is an actual hotkey for doing rotations, but I found it makes my head hurt. So I don't do that. I'm just going to keep going all the way around. Keep going. Don't worry about perfection. We're just going for vibes. We are going to actually smooth in a few seconds, so that doesn't really actually matter. Keep going. Keep going. And you're like, at this point, you're starting to think, why have I signed up for this? The nice thing is once you have one, you have two, and effectively infinite. But you still have to get there first. You're still going. Oh my gosh. You're still gunning this with the control point. Or not control point, with your touch brush. Still going. Alright, still going. Alright, a little bit further. Okay, see it? No. There we go. There we go. Alright. Congrats. We have something that's vaguely twin tail. I'm not making exact. I would do a reference if I was actually doing exact. So now we have this really complex hair, right? Go to control point. S. Bam. Less complicated. Now what you do is you fuss with it to get the way you want, because you can see this is kind of mucky. It's kind of not the way you want it. If you want to make it super even, you can use the spin modifier in Blender, but I'm not sure it interacts with all the other hair stuff valid Tuesday. But you see now at least we've got a curl, and we can do a lot with it from here. Like, I would start working on editing the texture from here, but at least and I can see I made it a bit flatter than I would normally like, but we do have the curl now, and we can work on making it better and more accurate than we did here. This is just how you make a curl. And, I mean, it's already pretty good. If I was actually, like, doing this from scratch for practice, I would, in fact, go and like look at it one-to-one from the modifier and go, yes, I can hear the laugh from the curl alone. Totally valid, but you're right. So yeah, it's actually really fun to make a curl. It's more that the setup for a curl is always like, oh, what have I got myself into again? But like, if I was going to sit here and fully make it from scratch, then I would make the attachment point and then flip it, and it would be, because the nice thing is now I've made it, I can go duplicate, flip, bam. It's lovely. And what you can do then is you can rotate this up. You can change the thickness to make, if you want to make like layers, because then you can do also, say you're liking it, but you're not liking it fully where it's positioned. You want to be a bit different. You can, let's see, where is that? Twist placement. You can change, not that one. No, not that one. They're drills, they are. So you can change the position X and Y on here. So check that out. It's not Teto anymore, but it's a more full, thick curl with no extra work. It's great. But yeah, that's why I'm a big fan of making curls, and I dislike making curls. Because usually I'm making really, really big curls, and you're just like, what has my life become about 5 minutes in, because you still have to do all the texture work, and you're like, oh no, this is my life now. My life is curl. But the results, even for like, this isn't a very good curl, I just made a quick one, they're always so rewarding. It looks so cool. So highly recommend making curls. Don't like making curls. It's a valid vibe. But now you at least know roughly what you would be doing. There we go. I will hide these. That's basically almost everything I would recommend beginner learn for VRoid Studio. I think if I was going to make it down to like, what are my top 3 things? Let's go save as new item. My top 3 things, if I had to say, like, you're a beginner and you're terrified. Let's see. Number 1, no matter what, go into face and go into expression editor and make sure the face clips as little as possible. You may need to do some editing work later in Unity for the blend shapes, but you can at least help a whole lot with making sure that AIUAO and other things work reasonably well. And I do like that you can get the eyes to be a little nicer, you know? But going through all of these and making sure the expressions fit what you're hoping for and that the eyebrows don't clip really helps a lot. Let's see, next, I would pick, anything but the standard VRoid eyeball. As long as you do some editing of it, I think it makes a difference. It makes it more interesting. And you don't need to go really fancy to make a better VRoid model. Let's see, what else would I do? If you're really scared and all of this is still too much and you still want to have a VRoid model, what I would recommend is going on Booth. Like, I would still recommend getting a reference first and trying things out with the reference, but there's a whole lot of textures and eyes, all sorts of neat stuff on Booth. So you don't have to go and make everything from scratch. You can import the textures and just make something piecemeal from the items you like. They range in price from free to about $100, which is for like a full made model. An item for a model, like an outfit or something, will usually be $20 or less. So you can make a custom model for usually, I'd say, free to $40 for a model on Booth if you want to just do pieces. And you'll probably look really good. Like, I don't think it's a bad idea. It's, do you want to learn VRoid Studio? Are you excited to make it from scratch? Or did you take one look at this and go, no? Which is how I was about Live 2D. I took one look at Live 2D and was like, no, I'm not a good fit for this. And that's okay. You can take a look at VRoid Studio and go, no, not for me. I don't have the spoons or the time. I think it's worth it. I think it's really fun. Because, like, once you get over the initial fear and the initial screaming, you can make so many cool things in this software that you wouldn't really think possible. Like, and they've added more stuff since I got started. They've added more presets. They've added some actually preset models now that are pretty cute. They've got the glasses are so much better. They've got cat ears. And actually, like, that's an important thing I should cover. If you wish to have cat ears, and you don't want to have 2 sets of ears, because that's important. Let me switch into here. You're going to roll all the way down. I need to find it. You want to get to the ear parameters. Go over here so we can see it. Hide teeth. And you can also have vampire and shark teeth. You got options for teeth here. You're going to go to remove ears. Ear's gone. There you go. No ear. It does still change the texture, and you will want to edit the texture a bit. Yes, parameters, very good. Very, very good, you know. You can still see the ear texture in there, so if you want to be really, really good about it, I'd recommend going into the skin texture and removing the ears, like just colored over. And it's not a big deal usually to hide them entirely, but like if you want to be cat girl and you don't want to have, like, see, it already looks like no ears, and then you can add an accessory, you can add cat ears, and you can be cat girl, which is probably most people who are using VRoid Studio. Let's be real. No shame, only cat girl. Much respect. But I feel like a lot of people they wish they could have no ears and they don't know how to remove the ears. It's just hidden in there. And you can also do a lot of things about the size here and make them more cute. Be more otter, I guess. So you've got options here. There's a whole lot of options in VRoid Studio that are just presets that you play with. Like Gino said earlier, it's the Bethesda slider you never thought you'd use because it's even more stuff. And it's just, it's analysis of paralysis at first, and then you get used to it, and then it's okay. But how are we feeling? How are you feeling about VRoid Studio? Less scared? More scared? Very valid if you're more scared. Would understand. Get some tea. Give me a second. Everybody hydrate if you want to. Yeah, because my goal isn't necessarily to get you to use VRoid Studio. My goal is just to cover all of the basic stuff I wish that I knew. Because, like I said, if I went straight into my practice, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Not as scary as I thought it would be, to be honest. Oh, cool, Chino. Yeah, I was scared at first. I was so scared. I didn't know what I was doing. I just was so intimidated because I had no experience in this. And I I can draw. It'll be fine. And then I started watching tutorials. And I was like, what is going on? What is happening? What is textures? I am scared. And it took a good few months of just practice to get over that fear and let things click. Yeah, it's a lot of little things that could go all wrong, but with care and little customization, you can end up with something unique and recognizable. Yeah, And my model isn't that complex. It's complex, I would say, because I've added so many toys to it that, I don't think I've met anyone with as many toggles as I have. For example, I know people have more models, for sure, but my toggle collection is very high. Very proud of it. But it's all down to, do you want to put in the work? Is this something you're excited about? Does this go, oh, I can make model? And also, it's free. I can't go wrong with free. If you get a few things a little wrong, it's still probably going to be good on the whole. Yeah, Tuesday. And, there's nothing wrong with just trying it and see what you think. So this model that I'm using right now, out of pocket, cost me about, I should have the exact number somewhere, but about $40-50, depending on if I'm right for the tip or not. And that's because I paid someone initially to make the blend shapes on a different version of the model. Luca was great. Fantastic. Love Luca. But I realized I want to do some more work on the model, and once you add blend shapes, you can't edit your model. It's done. You can only add stuff on top of it. And so this model got made, I made the blend shapes, and so I had to pay for HANA Tool. And so you can make the model for free. I do recommend HANA Tool. It's about $6-7. And it's kind of confusing, but it does let you do ARKit, and that's really nice. And you need ARKit in order to do certain things in VNyan. So if you're deciding you're going to do VNyan, you will want ARKit. But yeah, I'm surprised at how chill it is once you get in the habit. And it's more about understanding what you want out of the textures and what will make a good texture for you. Because I'll pull up my model so you can see. Because my model has really simple textures, and I think it's funny. Let's see, we'll switch to model section, and then save. So I'm going to warn you all right now, I don't want to grab any of my, as you can see, I'm always testing my model. I'm trying to figure out which one to grab. So we'll grab the actual current model. So this is the model I'm working right now. I'm going to warn you, it'll bug some people's eyeballs. Just letting you know right now. You'll see it when we get there, but there's UV map clipping going on with this model because of how I work on it. It's going to be bad. It's so bad. But okay, we'll go to my model. You can see it looks pretty chunky right now. I'm going to turn off, because this model is so complex for outfits, it has so many textures. I basically have to go in and turn all my textures off for the Z fighting, yeah. So let me turn them all off really quickly. It's a lot. So every single one has to go off. I leave them on because I do different things with the model, and it's easier to leave them all on. But it does mean that things get complicated. But now you can see you can make the textures on all the different layers if you really want to. Never-ending textures. Okay, almost there. So it's the third layer. Welcome to my world. The base. All right, there we go. Cool. So when we look at my actual hair, it's actually just one texture, for example. So let's go out of here. Close out saving. Wait for it to load and freak out at me as it does. Let's go back to hair. I just didn't want to have the Z fighting making everyone's eyes hurt. It bothers my eyes. So go to front. We'll go to edit hairstyle. And actually one cool thing about my hair is the shadow, if you can see here. So let's look at my model. So see that shadow there? That's not drawn in. That's hair. It's really cool. I found the tutorial for making shadows. So this is actually a duplicate of my bangs that has had its texture custom done. So you can see it matches. And so when my bangs move, they match. I thought that was just a really nice touch. And a lot of the small touches are what make up a good model, really. And so we get to my texture, and you can see I have many. Is it part of the same hair group? No, they are different meshes. So what I did was I made a duplicate mesh. And I'm not explaining it super well. We'll go over the shadow really quickly. So the shadow is the same mesh as you do, but it's on the face. And then the texture for it is kind of funky. So if I can get it to load, it's all mad at me right now. Please let me click on shadow, please. Please. It's trying its best. So let's go to edit texture. Please load. Welcome to the real challenges. We have 30 textures on one model. So that's the texture. And it's pretty much skin matching and semi-transparent. because of how I drew it. Like, I could make it work where it's more transparent. I just liked how this looked on my head, and that's it. It's just the same hair with a different texture. So we have a shadow, and it always moves, and I think that's really cool. And then we go to my main hair. Come on. Doopadoo. Yeah, I was inspired by how cell shading worked, and I made this all by accident, and was like, oh, it looks fine. Purple's close enough. So let's find the material. It's probably... Where are you? Come on. The challenge of using this model is it's so messy right now because I've been doing so much to it for so long that everything takes forever, but it's fun. I'm very proud of this model and what it's gone through to get here. It's a lot. And so it takes a while. Alright, let's edit the texture and you see what I mean. Like, if it'll load though. So yeah, this is my entire texture. All of this, all my hair, is on the same texture. It's all one texture group. But it just all goes down to placement. And that's the nice thing you do with VRoid is you can kind of use, let me get the UV mapping up here just a second. That you'll delete just a sec. So I have a UV grid mapping guide if I can find it. Just a sec. Wrong section. OBS. Wrong thing. VRoid tools. There we go. Open. There we go. So this is the UV mapping thing for VRoid. And so if I was doing it now, this will get you 4 different hair groups for the price of 1. And you can just layer it and check it. You can see how now that impacts all the hair. I think that's very cool. So highly recommend if you want to do advanced stuff. Mapping gives you good information for how to get different highlights and stuff. But not what I would start with, because this gets really funky really fast. Okay. All right. I think we're on a break. So how is everyone feeling? How are we doing? How confusing is everything right now? Oh, there's my mic is being silly at me. What is it doing? Seriously? No. My Stream Deck is trying to tell me that I should... Oh, thanks for the follow. We have an anonymous follow, so glad you can lurk or hang out if you want to. Your head explode, but in a good way. Valid Tuesday. Oh, I can show you my eyebrows now. Okay, so we are... I think there's going to be a break coming in, like, or ads coming up soon. See, so you can see what I mean here. My eyebrows do not touch my head. They're over there doing their thing. But it means that I can have my expressions come through okay. That's very handy. But also, like, I did do some custom work on them. I should redo them. But anything you can do to add more things to make a thicker eyebrow, I think is good for VRoid Studio. It adds more ability to see and read the expression when it's small. And, like, this is pretty much as basic as you can go for expression work here. I will one day fix these textures, but not this day. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I could use a talking break. I think everyone here could use a few seconds to process things. I am going to swap models back to TestChan. We'll take a 3-minute break. And then, oh, thank you for the hydrate, Isaac. I was about to take some tea. And then we can all think, and then we'll do, like, any final questions, and then final wrap-up. How does that sound? Because I just want to let the ads go through and see how we go. Do not save. Let's go back to TestChan. Yep. So I'll see you all in 3 minutes, give my voice a break, give you all a break, and then we'll see how we are. Yeah. See, just going to switch over, and yep, be right back. All right, we're back. How is everyone feeling? I feel like, okay, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do today, and I felt like for sure if I went straight into like the UV mapping practice I was going to do, that I was going to lose everyone immediately. And so I'm glad that we spent a lot of time doing just what I wish I'd learned when I started. I'm fully aware that was a lot of stuff, and it's totally okay to go, I need to sleep on this. That's entirely reasonable. It's okay to need time. And I am planning to post this VOD as soon as I can, so it'll probably be up tomorrow. So and we'll have the VOD on Twitch, obviously. So if you need time to just go check on it later, maybe ask some more questions. I am planning to do VRoid streams if my voice will allow. I want to see how things go, but this is more testing the waters, because like the challenge is that if I'm actually doing work where I'm practicing, it's harder to interrupt or explain what I'm doing because it'll just get really complicated really fast. So let me like show you as an example, right? So say I decided to actually do the reference work I'd planned to do. Here's how I start. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to go back to get the alpha off, and we're going to actually probably put it here, And I'm going to see if I can get it where I want it in theory. So sometimes you get really lucky and it'll go right in front of the face just fine, and that's really nice when it does that, but not every time. So I'm going to at least check it and see if it will, because if it can do a 1-to-1, that's the easiest way to get started. Let's see, no, not wrong thing. Scale a bit down. And this is a lot of fussing you do when you're starting out, just making sure that it fits correctly, which is like, oh no. Alright, so get it over here. Wrong way. Wrong way. And this is what really happens when I'm starting. I'm just like, oh joy. I am off on my positioning again, aren't I? And it's really hard to get it exactly right. So you're just like, oh joy, goody, goody, gumdrops. Why is this happening to me? Okay, so now I need to get the Z value fixed, or the input mode scale. So it's not quite right. Yes, this is just as slow as it takes. And I am leaning towards not dealing with this because I don't feel like it, because it's really being a jerk at me right now. Sometimes they're really great and they line up. Today, we're not having line up. It's also a little big, so let's get this a little bit smaller. Some folks are really fast, I'm not fast. We see why I'm like, this is not the most exciting thing to watch when you're learning of like, why are we doing this? Why are we taking this time? All right, because now we can do. Now I've got it pretty reasonably on point. Let's see, pretty close. We're going to work about getting the eyeballs the right height, because the eyes are actually pretty good if you look at it, but the eye size is off. So we're going to get it much bigger, much bigger. There we go. That's looking more accurate. I'm not going to go for 1-to-1 because those are some big ol' eyeballs. Like, no. And so sometimes you just go and go, no, I do not want the big ol' eyeballs. So you go, to heck with that. And you start shrinking the eyes to something more reasonable. You're like, all right, for a model, because it's about, do you want to do 1-to-1 or do you want to do approximations, right? So you see how exciting this is. Just me sitting here going, do I like how the eyes sit in relation to the face? And I think in this case, I want to go for just a slightly larger eyeball, then getting it 1-to-1 exact. Yeah, bated breath. Thank you, Tuesday. You see what I mean? It's a very different application, and that's why I didn't want to go there. It's interesting stuff, but it's not necessarily useful to learn from. And the impression I got was everyone was an absolute beginner, and so I didn't want to just go, yeah, let's UV map. We can do more of that, and I can explain it as I go next time. But this was more, what are we feeling? How are we doing? Does this seem fun? Are we having a good time? Because watching someone do VRoid, it's so different, and it's so complicated. And it's fun. I enjoy doing this kind of thing, and I'm learning how to do 1-to-1 right now. And I may learn how to do more in Blender as I get any Blender skills. I am intimidated by Blender. But that's how VRoid works, is you just practice and you try and see what works. Because if I want to make curls, I can make the curls. But making them exact isn't necessarily worth doing. And so it's always what is worth doing and what isn't worth doing. And how much time do you want to put into it? Because, like, I'm actually more interested in the outfit, personally. So if we move her over here, let's get her out of the way. Please stop clipping through her. That's not nice of you. Okay, so if we actually look at Teto's outfit, it's actually pretty interesting. I'm going to move her a bit more, I think. So we've got this shirt that falls over, and then we've got the under cord, which I've wondered if that cord should be done in Blender because of how it sits, right? Because like hair for that with attaching the hair would be kind of annoying versus making the right shape in Blender. So I have, like, that's what I'd be wondering, is like, what should be made in Blender? What should be made in VRoid Studio? Is my mic on? I hope my mic's on. I'm all scared now. I think it's working. But yeah, that's really how VRoid works, is you sit down, you go, can this be made in VRoid Studio? Can this be made in Blender? Oh, thank you, Iron Man, and welcome back. Yay. I'm always scared though. Always the internal fear of, is the mic working? OBS says it is, but is it really? I don't know. But yeah, this is VRoid Studio in a nutshell. Is you sit down, you break it down into parts, and you go, what parts make sense? Like, I like the eyes at this size, even looking back now at them. I would probably keep them this size and see how it goes from here, for example. And then I've got the curls already made for the twin tails, and so I would extend those and start seeing how they sit against versus the reference. And that's fun stuff. I will have a lot of fun doing that. But will you feel like you learn stuff? I'm not as sure. Like, I feel like I didn't quite learn a lot from So when I started, I watched a lot of speed paints of VRoid's models, and I learned a lot about texturing, but I didn't really understand what they were doing sometimes until much later, because learning about how structures work is a whole thing. We don't need to have a learning stream to be fair. Fair Tuesday, but I was hoping today would be learning, and then next time I will work on, I've got a couple models I'm working on for funsies, and some practice models, and I do intend to actually finish Teto, because I think her outfit is intriguingly complex. There's a whole lot going on for it that I find to be really interesting, like the textures. So like her boots need to look shiny, and so making shiny stuff in VRoid Studio can be really hard. So I do intend to work on this model. It was more whether what we were going to do today was up in the air. And also I wasn't sure what people wanted to do. Today was just a test. And I don't intend to have VRoid normally take over a gaming stream. Yeah, textures are tricky. They're tricksy indeed, Tuesday. Yeah. This is here because we have some scheduling kerfluffles going on right now. Like, actually, it's such a chatting, I can explain some things. You prefer materials in Blender? Valid. Valid Tuesday. Yeah, what's going on is blueprints. Let me get some tea. Everybody hydrate if you want to. Yeah, what's going on is blueprints is happening on April 10th, and then that's mucking up all my scheduling. That's what's going on. Is Blender hard? Blender has a steep learning curve, Iron Man. I am scared of it. I can make basic things in Blender. I have actually I have a reference for this room in Blender right now that I'm hoping to work with. So there are some things that are pretty simple in Blender, but I don't find it intuitive, and it is a steep learning curve. And so I get very stuck. So like a good example then, let's go switch off models. So I made this in Blender. You can't tell that it's full, like, yeah. I UV mapped it myself with Tuesday's help because I was very lost. And this whole thing is a fully three-dimensional object. I just didn't give the inside a lining texture, which is why you can see through it, which I could have done, but I didn't want to put in more thinking than I did already. But yeah, I did all the UV mapping, I did all the texturing myself, but it was a lot of work, and I was very confused. And Tuesday was listening to me scream at it. I do not find Blender intuitive. I want to find Blender intuitive. I really like Blender. I think it's really cool, and I'm scared so silly by it. It's just every time I use it, I'm like, what am I doing? What have I done to myself? I am confused. So that's me. Thank you. I'm glad you think it's a very good looking pickle, Iron Man. I worked hard. But yeah, I've seen people who really click with Blender and they love it. Yeah. Is that a pickle helmet? It's meant to be my little pickle suit here right now. So Josh Bet 8 has a pickle outfit, which if those of you who've seen his pickle mode, it's fantastic. He has a full like pickle suit. And I was like, I could make that in VRoid Studio. And so I did. I made a pretty basic one in VRoid Studio. And then I decided if I was going to actually have one that I would use, I would make it in Blender. And so I made this one in Blender to see if I could do it. And yeah, I did. The things I'll go back to it. Because it's a different model. It's not a toggle for a bunch of reasons. So if I was going to do this again, what I would do is you can see how it's clipping. So thank you, Josh. Glad you think so. But yeah, I don't like that it clips personally, but I decided that it wasn't distracting enough to matter, basically, because I would have had to have put a whole bunch of boning into this, and this is meant to be a joke. It's meant to be silly. It's not meant to be like a serious toggle. Like, I wasn't sure I was going to keep it, and that's been requested twice. Of course, Josh improves with pickle. Indeed, Tuesday. But yeah, so that's a thing, but I just didn't feel like putting more work into it. It's always a question of what do you want to put work into, Because, like, I like making models in VRoid Studio. I think it's really fun. I think once you get over the initial fear, it's really cool to sit down and see how it all works. Is that a whole separate 3D asset? It is red. So I made it in Blender, I put it on the model in Unity, and it is rigged to the head in Unity. But it's not on this model because I was concerned about when I was making this model, I was so tired when I messed up all the blend shapes. So I made the sweater blend shapes first, and then I remembered to move over. So this model's blend shapes on the face are a copy of one of my previous models. And so I remembered to do all the sweatshirt model blend shapes, and then I remembered to copy over the face. And when I copied over the face, it overwrote all my sweater blend shapes. And so I had to do all my sweater blend shapes again from scratch, which isn't that big a deal, but there are 9 of them. And so I had to sit there and individually alpha all of the individual assets. And I'm just like, no, I'm done now. Yeah, thank you, Iron Man. Yeah, it was a bummer, and that's why I haven't done. I think that I should be able to put the pickle hat on this model. I haven't had the spoons to sit through Unity right now. I'm like, no, I'm good. Also, again, I thought it would be a one-off joke that no one would want to redeem it, and that it wouldn't matter. But since it's been redeemed twice now, I may have to sit down when I have some spoons and attach it to this model and maybe do some rigging on it. I'm not sure. It won't take that long. It'll be like 20 minutes. I just don't want to deal with it right now. I've got other problems right now besides whether or not the pickle suit works. And it is kind of funny. It reminds me of Josh having to move away and put on the model that I had to go and switch models. What software do you use to render your model for streaming? VNeon or something else? I am using VC-Face, Red. So again, I considered VNeon. I was using Meowface. I tested Meowface on my computer. The reason I personally don't use VNeon isn't that VNeon is bad. It's my own eyeballs. So, as you know, Red, you need a lot of lights and an iPhone to stream as well as possible with VNeon for tracking, right? Because you're using iFacial mocap. In my case, I have a lot of facial swelling on my eyes from allergies. And so, Tuesday, I learned that the tracking is better for me in VC-Face. I could fix all of this in VNeon, and it would work. Like I've said, I just have to figure out what's going on with the tracking blend shapes in VNeon. But this is much easier, and I don't have to use any lights. I have 0 tracking lights on, and I can still track my model and get all this little movement. And I was like, you mean I have no lights for my photosensitive eyeballs and I can do tracking? Sold. So that's why I do this. Yeah, you're debating trying to learn Unity, but you don't have the spoons either. Valid Iron Man, the good news with Unity and Blender, especially for tracking, is that you can do it piecemeal. If you have any questions about VTuber, like VRoid specific Unity stuff, let me know and I'll post the videos that I use to do it because they're pretty short. I know VNeon does 3D props, so you could add that Pickle has probably. Yeah, totally Red. You don't recall VC-Face has that. They do have props, but not for 3D in VC-Face. I only have 2D props in VC-Face, Red. It looked pretty simple, yeah. Like, VNeon is great. Love VNeon. If you don't know what VNeon is, for folks who aren't VTubers, it's a 3D tracking software by Suvidrel. It is fantastic. I love it. It's that specifically for my needs, VC-Face is better for what I need right now. And that's it. And again, what I found was that the biggest thing was down to I have no need for tracking lights. It's dark outside. It's not super dark, but it's getting dark. And I don't need to track with lights. I just have my webcam so I can keep my eyeballs pretty safe. And I have the room light. And that's all I have for tracking. It's great. No eyeball pain. Lovely. And VNeon is good as a learning curve, certainly. Yeah, Red. I really like VNeon. I think that its node system is fantastic. I'm in Suvi's Discord, so I read up and I'm like, ooh, shinies, so many new exciting things. But yeah, it's just for right now, for my needs, I really like VC-Face. And there's things I really actually, okay, this is basically, I actually built this model around working in VNeon. Not the small, but the V1 version. And we got into VNeon, we had Luca install the blend shapes, we put it in, and we're both, Tuesday and I are like, what? We just didn't like how it moved at all, and we needed so much light, and I'm just like, I'll wait for an update. It'll happen eventually. I do intend to switch, because for those of you who don't know, Red is also a 3D VTuber, fantastic VTuber, great person, and also, you can do a lot of model swapping in VNeon that you can't do in VC-Face. So, much love for VNeon. If you want it's like StreamerBot versus Firebot, I feel like. It's more intuitive to use VC-Face as a good beginner one, but if you need more cool stuff, you want to be more, customizable, you do want VNeon. Or maybe Wattado, but Wattado and my computer hate each other, so I much more recommend VNeon. Though, there is now Snake Studio being made, which is Linux native, and I'm very curious to see how that one goes, because it's very alpha, but I think it's got some good promise. Yeah, each is valid, depends on what you want to do with it and what your preferences are. Yeah, Red, exactly. And so it's going to be down to, if you're interested in being a VRoid VTuber, which I highly recommend, it's really fun, you should sit down with all of the tracking software and see what works for you. Because you may decide that you don't like being a 3D model. Like, that is a valid answer there. You may go, no, I'm not liking how I move. I'm not liking this. I basically went, my model's not good enough, and I screamed for 3 months, and this is what I got out of it. I'm really happy, but it was definitely 3 months of screaming. What works for me is not having a camera in front of me, anxiety. Valid, you're right. Well, the nice thing actually about VC Face and also VNeon is the camera's on. Actually, I have duct tape over my camera for the light, but I don't see myself. I only see VC Face. And so I can watch my model movement, but it's not my movement. In contrast with Live 2D, when you at least are doing setup, you do see your camera and your face. And so that can be distracting. But you can remove that, you can hide it. But like when you're setting up for calibration, you do see your face. So I do think, like, I was surprised at like how I could focus on what I was doing in VC Face because of that. Like, I do like having my model in the corner. So like in my horrible setup, because it's one monitor, I have VC Face up in the background so I can make sure that I'm at least, centered and liking it, and then I can also hit center if I need to. Yeah, if I'm being pixel tuber so far, which also totally right, totally valid. It's like, I would actually also add, if you're interested in getting started in VTubing, I don't recommend VRoid Studio to start. I love it, but I think everyone will generally have a better time starting off with a PNG tuber of some kind, just for getting over the initial scaries. VRoid requires moving, so okay, give me a second to take some tea. And to move back. So like, okay, here is me not doing any movement and talking to you as I would normally, but without doing any kind of animation for my model. Yeah, this is really exciting, isn't it? I am doing a lot of movement right now. Yeah, and yeah, Red, VEditTube for PNG Tuber is fantastic. There's also, I think, Rahi Tuber now. It looks really good. Really excited to see how that one turns out. But you see how boring I look and how exciting my movement is, but I'm not moving my face. Okay, if you wanted to learn rigging, would you recommend PNG Tubers first? Iron Man, that's... Okay, it depends, because rigging, you do not rig a PNG Tuber. But now you see me, like, I'm doing a lot of micro motions to make Monday look more animated, as it were. My model on Monday, that is. Yeah, there's no rigging for PNG tubing unless you're doing PNG Tuber Plus or Rahi Tuber or Honk, which isn't true rigging, but let me give a shout out. It's actually, if Roz or Tuesday could give a shout out for Dawn Dragonheart, because I cannot quickly get her stuff. Dawn does a lot of PNG Tuber Plus rigging, and so if you want to get an idea of that rigging and how it looks for PNG Tuber Plus, thank you. And give a shout out for Red too, because that's good. Dawn's work on PNG Tuber Plus is really inspiring. She does pretty much the maximum rigging you can do short of Honk. And so you can also look up at Honk. Honk is another PNG Plus type thing. It's not the same software. Oh, it makes sense? Yeah. But if you want to do actual rigging, for like actual factual rigging, for like what you think of as VRoid rigging, you're going to be doing it in Live 2D. I mean, rate limited and shoutouts, totally fair, but when you can. But yeah, if you want to do, there is rigging you can do for VRoid VTubers, but it's not required for stuff. It's also going to be in Blender and more complex. And so like my blend shapes were done in Unity, and you can do I think Suvidrell's done some stuff on it where you can like rig a hat in Unity so that it looks more floppy than it would right out of the box. And so there's some rigging in 3D, but it's limited and not required. Most people are not going to be doing rigging in VRoid Studio or VRoid models. There is stuff with rigging, though. It's just not what you start with. And you can also do a lot with that in VNeon with pendulums. So I think a lot of the furry models, do not quote me on this, I'm not furry-based, and Red probably know more than me, are doing pendulums now for their ears so that they move and twist as the person is talking. So that's really cool stuff. Yeah, it's more what kind of rigging do you want to do and what do you want to make out of your model. But yeah, not normally PNG. PNG rigging, though, gets really interesting, especially PNG Tuber Plus. So you can get some stuff there, and it's good practice. Oh, you have a pendulum for your tail, and ears are spring bones. Nice, Rhett. Yeah, it's like definitely, okay, yeah. hands down, for like things that move on 3D models, furries. Hands down. So much respect. They've been doing the coolest stuff. You will learn so much from furry models. Like, yeah, like, yeah, they are amazing work. Like, I've seen people doing like brainwave-based 3D model movement for VR chat. The furries in VR chat are on an adventure, and I have so much respect for it. It's so cool. So if you want to learn about cool stuff, yeah, highly, highly recommend looking at what the furry VR chat VRoid community is doing, because they are on the cutting edge at all times, and I think it's very cool. Get some tea. It's so true, Red. The furries are doing what Meta wishes it could do. It's true. Like, I'm always like, if I want to get inspired, the furries. Much respect. They're doing such neat stuff. Okay, I think we're wrapping up. Nice long stream. Had the clipboard out. But yeah, so I don't know if I'll bring back more VRoid videos or VRoid streams. Not for lack of interest. It's more going to be like, it's when to add to the schedule. Because I feel like if I did VRoid during Monday morning meetings, it could be really distracting. I think the quiet is really important on Mondays, so it might be like a Friday morning thing, depending on my vocal recovery. Tuesday and I are talking about it, we're figuring it out, but it'd be more, are people interested in seeing more like this? Are people interested in seeing more advanced work? Because I would not just talk beginner stuff every time. It'll be really down to what's going on, and can I get my tablet working? Small things. So if the tablet can work, we'll talk about it and maybe run another test one where I do some more advanced work. That'll be fun. All right, so wrapping up. First, does everyone here have a sticker? Because I hope you all have a sticker. I think you all do, but it's still better to check in. Oh, and thank you for the hydrate, Isaac. Everybody hydrate. Next, do we have any last minute questions while I'm here with my model stuff up? You always get your sticker? Yay, Triad! Yay! I mean, you can't go wrong with getting a sticker. I mean, it's a sticker. I really want to one day, we've been discussing how to do it. I want to have like all the stickers show up in the upper left corner. Did you get your sticker? Did you get it? Triad? I hope so. If not, it's gonna be, I'd love to have like the stickers show up in the corner. Yay, stickers! Yay. Okay, good job. As in, like, I totally forget. Last question, go over all that again. I'm not against doing that, Gino, but the VOD will exist. But yeah, Gino, if you have questions, throw them in the Discord. Let me get Discord. I know you're joking, but yeah, like, if you have, seriously though, if someone has questions, you can throw them in the Discord, or throw me a DM, whatever you need, because I totally understand taking all this in and going, what just happened? Valid. And I will post the VOD on YouTube as soon as I can. It'll just probably be like tomorrow morning. I need to get through the evening first, and you know how long it takes for things to upload on YouTube. I usually get it up in the morning. I'll do my best. Let's see, what else? So this week's streams. Tomorrow is going to be the Monday morning meeting. I'm very excited. I found some very cool fossils. I feel like they're not, most of them are not big fossils, but the implications are very cool. I'm excited about them. And then Thursday this week, we'll maybe be finishing Smushy Come Home. I don't know. I think Tuesday looked it up for me because I was curious, and we're apparently about 2/3 of the way through. So we're making progress. It's happening. But yeah. So with that, let me find someone to raid. Let's see who's on. Oh, yay, getting stickers. I always gotta remember. I would forget. That's why I check in with everyone. I think I'll probably stop checking with people soon, but I don't know. It feels right to go, does everyone have a sticker? So we'll keep it for now. Go look, see someone to raid. All right, so it looks like we got some options. Let's see. So we have, oh, yay, Rhinus, yay, get a sticker. I'm like, I should stop calling out Rhinus, but I'm always like so excited that Rhinus got a sticker. Okay, let's see what we got. So for people, we've got a lot of people playing Monster Hunter, to no surprise. I think we've got Sora, who we just raided recently, playing Legend of Zelda, and then probably who I'm leaning towards is Sleepy, is doing co-working and studying. Let me look over what it says, and let's see, it is co-working and yapping, and that sounds like a nice chill time. And actually, I think that's a good call for Iron Man, actually. Iron Man, I know you just lurked, good lurk, have a good lurk, but Sleepy is a very skilled Live 2D artist and rigger, and they might be a good person to talk to if they're up for talking that during break. Usually, though, I'd wait for a stream where they are specifically working on a child, and they have been working on a few recently. So probably not the best time, but a good person to know. Let's see. Yeah, unless folks have an opinion, I'm pretty cool with rating Sleepy, because most people are doing Monster Hunter, and I feel like that's not the right vibe. I mean, much respect. Hope everyone's having fun with it. Let's see. So, oh yeah, hope you do. So their handle is not Sleepy, it's Smattered Stars. I guess we're gonna give everyone shoutouts eventually. So, there we go. There we go. Yeah, Sleepy is way cool. Excellent D&D person. Does a very good DM, and also is just makes all their own models, and they're very cool. So that is a good person to know about if you're interested in rigging. But yeah, I'd wait for a rigging stream. Okay, so yeah, let's raid Sleepy. That sounds good. Yeah, glad I could help, Iron Man. I know there's a lot to learn. It's intimidating. So let's see. Let me get things set up so we can do the raid. Go. It looks like it's more. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you. Yeah, it looks like they're doing more of a yap session right now, but that could be fun. Like a nice little yap session to enter on to end the weekend on a nice cheery note. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's get the raid stuff up. There we go. Let's go raid Sleepy. There we go. Yay. So with that, thank you so much for coming by, whether you're hanging out in chat or raiding. We didn't have any raids today, or lurking or modding. Always glad to have you all here. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your weekend. I'll see some of you hopefully tomorrow for the Monday morning meeting. And with that, let's scamper campers, and I'll see some of you in Sleepy's stream. Bye!